Hey everybody, G4 Video 5 here, and welcome back to some more Grand Theft Auto 3. In this part, we will be doing the first 3 missions for Donald Love, and the final mission for Ray Machowski.
First of all, let me thank you for dealing with that personal matter. People will read something into anything these days. Experience has taught me that a man like you can be very loyal for the right price, but groups of men get greedy. A valued resource, an old Oriental gentleman I know, has been kept hostage by some South Americans in Espatria. They're trying to extort additional funds from me, but I don't believe in renegotiation. A deal is a deal, so they'll not see a penny from me. Go and rescue my friend. Do whatever it takes.
So that is Mr. Donald Love, who's one of my favorite characters in the entire Grand Theft Auto series, and he's also the man who we were protecting during the mission Evidence Dash for Ray Machowski, as we were collecting those 6 packages that were full of photographs of Donald at a morgue party. So, you know, he's a bit of an oddball character, although that side of him doesn't really get dove too deeply into during the events of this game, which this game's events take place in 2001, but in the game Liberty City Stories, which takes place 3 years before the events of this game, Donald does get a lot more screen time, which allows for the expansion of the pants area, in that his personality shines through a lot more during that game compared to in this game, although this mysterious cloud that surrounds Donald is very interesting. You know, it leaves you wanting more, so I think that's the strong appeal of Donald in this game, that even though you don't get to really find out too much about the guy, you're still left with a lot of questions that you really want answers to, such as, you know, what's the importance of this Old Oriental Gentleman that we're rescuing from the Columbian cartel during this mission, which, by the way, for this mission, we need a Columbian cartel cruiser, which I got from that construction site area, and you could just steal one off the streets from a Columbian cartel gang member just driving around, but I don't know, I figure since we're heading in this direction anyways, I could just go to that spawn location for this thing. It's no big deal to me, and apparently shotgun blasts to the face are no big deal for the Old Oriental Gentleman, as he took that like a champ there. You know, he's a real resilient fiend, and that's good for me, because, yeah, I didn't want to kill the guy or anything like that, but I did want to kill those Columbian cartel gang members, as that is a requirement, as you need to kill all of them before you can start opening up garages to rescue this Old Oriental Gentleman and bring him back safely to the Love Media building to be reunited with Donald Love. But, you know, the question is, what is the significance of this guy? Because clearly there is something going on here, or else the Columbian cartel wouldn't have bothered kidnapping him during the opening cutscene of this game, which, by the way, this is that same exact person that was kind of taken off from that police convoy with those Columbian cartel gang members who, I guess, inadvertently ended up freeing Claude and 8-Ball from captivity as well. So, you know, this has really just gone awful for the Columbian cartel. You know, they ended up freeing Claude, who can wreak havoc on Liberty City, and this Old Oriental Gentleman experiment ended up failing, because we were able to get him back without Donald having to pay that extortion money there.
Nothing drives down real estate prices like a good old-fashioned gang war, apart from an outbreak of plague, but that might be going too far in this case. I've noticed the Yakuza and the Columbians are far from friends. Let's capitalize on this business opportunity. I want you to kill the Yakuza Waka-Gashira, Kenji Kassen. Kenji is attending a meeting at the top of the multi-storey car park in Newport. Get a cartel gangcar and eliminate him. The Yakuza must blame the cartel for this declaration of war.
So if you are going for 100% in this game, then you need to make sure that you complete Kenji's missions before you complete this mission, as the objective here is to whack off Kenji, so by doing that, you would no longer have access to Kenji's missions if you still had missions to do for him. So Yeah, this is a real turning point in the game, in which we are hopefully initiating a gang war between the Columbian cartel and the Yakuza. And like Donald says, nothing drives down real estate prices like a good old-fashioned gang war, and that's a line to remember there, as Donald not only makes an appearance in another Grand Theft Auto game called Liberty City Stories, but he also makes one in the game Vice City. Now, Donald doesn't play that prominent of a role in that game, it's more of a cameo than anything else, as that game's events take place in 1986. But we do get to see Donald's mentor named Avery Carrington, and the influence that man has on a younger Donald. So I think that's pretty cool stuff. And speaking of cool stuff, there is Kenji at the very top of this multi-story car park, and he's also surrounded by a bunch of Yakuza gang members with high-powered weaponry, such as M16s, so I'd like to avoid confronting that large group of people, but there were also a bunch of vehicles surrounding Kenji, so there's a bit of a trick we can do, where we can shoot a rocket launcher at the floor beneath Kenji to explode the vehicles that are surrounding him, so we kill him through the vehicles exploding. And I just think that this is a much better method to kill Kenji than going up there with the Columbian cartel cruiser to try running him over or performing a drive-by. It's just, it's a pain going up there and doing all that, so if you do the rocket launcher thing, all you have to do after you fire your rocket launcher shots is re-enter the Columbian cartel cruiser, then you can exit it immediately and enter another vehicle, as the game wants us to ditch the cartel cruiser, so we did in favor of this Blista, and then we left the area, and I just ended up driving to Belleville Park to complete the mission. So yeah, that is a very important mission in this game's plot. And oh man, it's exciting completing that and just knowing the significance it's going to have on future events. I mean, I've nearly wet myself now.
In these days of moral hypocrisy, certain valuable commodities can be hard to import. On its approach to the airport tonight, a light aircraft will pass over the bay. It will drop several packages into the water. Make sure you pick them up before anyone else does.
So this mission's fairly high octane, and maybe Donald Love and the Old Oriental Gentleman doing their exercises at the beginning of that cutscene was a bit of foreshadowing, as they were getting the blood flowing and pumping in all the right places. And let me tell you, Claude's gonna get all steamy and sweaty here, as this mission's going to pick up quite drastically. So, you know, this mission's a lot like the mission Evidence Dash, in that we're going to be collecting 6 packages out in the water areas of Liberty City, and more specifically underneath the Callahan Bridge. So we're going to need a boat for this business going on here. And the game does give us a boat spawn location at Callahan Point that's marked on our minimap. But I'm not going to go out there. Instead, I'm going to Azuka's condo, and I'm coming over here to this dock area right next to the condo, as I can strategically place a vehicle near the end of this dock. And the reason why I'm doing this before hopping into a boat that's docked out here is because for each package that you end up picking up during this mission, you get 1 wanted level star. And the total amount of stars that you're going to obtain caps out at 5 out of 6 stars. So we need something to kind of get the hell on out of here, you know? We need to be strategic in what we're going to do to get these packages safely back on over to Donald Love. So I think by doing this vehicle placement strategy, you know, it'll end up working out pretty nice. But in the meantime, though, we are out here in the open waters, and with a sneaky edit there, I was able to cut out some of the extra time, as there was still a lot of time left on that timer, so I just ended up cutting that out. And the timer comes into play, which was in the top right-hand corner of the screen, because once that runs out, the dodo plane that you see above is going to start dropping these packages into the water. So you kind of want to maintain your distance, because if you're too far ahead of the dodo, then it's kind of annoying if you end up missing one of these packages, because you either have to reverse or make some kind of U-turn, and you know, these drastic movements in the boats are always a pain in the ass, so it's honestly better to be too far behind than too far forward, so yeah, keep that in mind there. But yeah, it's not too bad though. I'm just lightly and gently tapping on the acceleration button, so the packages end up more or less falling into the boat, which works out quite fine for me. And, you know, that's the thing. It's like, what the hell are these packages of? Because the police are clearly interested in them, and we're never really given an explanation for it. Maybe it's drugs or something, you know, who knows? Or severed heads. You know, with Donald, you really have no idea, but yeah, either way, it's something that the police seem to have an invested interest in, so we need to make sure we can avoid the police. And I suppose the smart person in this situation would just go to the pay and spray to get rid of your wanted level, especially if you're, you know, parking a vehicle out by Azuka's condo to easily get out of there, because, you know, you could just do that. You could just go to the pay and spray. But the thing is that when you get 5 wanted level stars, the FBI start spawning, and the FBI are mad bastards in this game. They are insane drivers, and they are very aggressive in the way that they try to take Claude off the road. So you gotta watch yourself a little bit, and, you know, you can see that's a little difficult to do, but the reason why I'm not losing my police attention is because I want an FBI car, and this is a fairly easy way of getting an FBI car. So what we want to do is, when we're here at the Love Media building, we not only want to run over a pedestrian, but also we want to make sure that a non-flipped FBI car starts following us close to the door. So that way, when we turn in the packages, we're going to lose our wanted level, but that FBI car is still going to be there relatively close by. So you can see, we turn in the packages, and that car is still there, and we don't have a wanted level. So after these guys are done playing musical chairs, I'm going to steal this FBI car. And the great thing is that we're only going to be given 1 wanted level star, not 5. So this works out quite nicely.
You don't fool with the law. Good news for commuters from Shoreside. Engineers have finally managed to repair the damaged mechanism on the Staunton Lift Bridge, and it is now open to traffic flow both to and from Shoreside Vale.
You weren't followed. Good. This is it. I'm way over my head and I'm starting to drown here. The CIA seems to have a vested interest in Spank, and they don't like us screwing with the cartel. I'm a marked man, so I'm getting out of here. Get me to my flight at the airport and I'll make it worth your while.
So the game says that the CIA have the bridge under surveillance, so we need to find another route across to Shoreside Vale. And the bridge they're referring to is the Staunton Lift Bridge, so you can still end up using this route if you want to, but it's not recommended. You're going to need something that is bulletproof if you want to cross this bridge, as the CIA are going to have M16s, and they are deadly sharpshooters with these things, so yeah, it's not really recommended. Plus, the lift bridge always seems to lift at inopportune times for me. So since we have a moment and I respawned at the hospital on Staunton Island, I wanted to show off one of my favorite pedestrians that I never really see mentioned anywhere.
Just say ah.
I've been drinking.
Drop your pants, please. What? I've got to scrub down. Take 2 and party.
So this is more like it. This is the bulletproof barracks OL that we got during the mission Arms Shortage for Ray Machowski. And this thing's just making a mockery of these M16 bullets flying across the screen. And speaking of across the screen, we have this up-close and personal shot of this CIA guy with spaghetti sauce splattered all around him. You know, knees weak, arms heavy, mom's spaghetti. Very, very tasty there. But, let me tell you what's not tasty. Using the Porter Tunnel as the intended way of completing this mission, because the game doesn't, you know, assume that you're going to have a bulletproof vehicle, is to use the Porter Tunnel. And the Porter Tunnel is located in Rockford in Staunton Island. So we're going to use this thing to safely get across to Shoreside Vale, because apparently the CIA didn't expect us to potentially use the Porter Tunnel. And here's the thing about this place. This place is hell. It is a cluster of a mess. And it starts off with 2 lanes with thankfully double solids, so you won't have cars moving back and forth between this lane, or this road area, I should say. But it's still a pain in the ass because it's very narrow and it's hard to kind of swerve in and out of traffic when you have a large bunch of vehicles kind of driving side by side. And that also applies to when you're, in the double lane area of this place, because you really gotta finesse your way between these cars. And of course, it's Grand Theft Auto, so cars are gonna do whatever they want to do. They're gonna randomly, go into the other lane and not really give you any indication of that, which I don't mean to sound like I'm complaining or anything like that. This is actually fairly entertaining, especially when the camera does that, because the camera is directly underneath the car, so you kind of have to guesstimate where the flow of traffic is going. So it's a challenge, I think is a better way of putting it, which makes it entertaining. And I don't know, it's not what I would want to do, but it is okay, I guess, at times, because of the randomness that can happen. And thankfully we've ended up safely over here at Francis International Airport.
Here's a kid in the lockup. You'll find some cash and some supplies I stashed in case things got tight. See you around.
So, there you go.
So there goes Ray, jogging on over to freedom. I don't know why I find that jogging animation a little silly looking, but I'm going to skip ahead on over to Ray's lockup, which is located right next to the Callahan Bridge, as there was nothing eventful that happened during the drive on over from Francis International to this area in Newport. Now, this is your real reward for completing this mission, as you get a pager message from Ray that says, "Take care of my bulletproof Patriot. See you in Miami." Ooh, from Ray. Now, here's the thing. Vice City was not a thing at the time of this game being released, which is why you see Miami in place of where you would imagine Rockstar would put Vice City in the script. So it is a little weird seeing the real-life version of a place that got a fictionalized version in the Grand Theft Auto universe, but yeah, that's just the way it is in this game, because it came out before Vice City was an actual thing. So, besides the Bulletproof Patriot, we also got a flamethrower, $40,000, an M16, a rocket launcher, and a sniper rifle. So, thank you, Ray. Ray apparently got a payday from Azuka. Well, we got a payday from Ray right here and getting all this cool stuff. So, yeah, speaking of getting the blood flowing and all that, ooh, man, I'm a little moist now. But anyways, that completes this part. In the next part, we will not be continuing Donald Love's missions. Instead, we will be doing the payphone missions here in Staunton Island for a man named King Courtney. So until then, I will see you next time.